Welcome to Epicenter, the hub of innovation in the heart of Helsinki, where ideas come to life and creativity thrives, where innovation meets community. Get ready to learn, network, and make an impact. Let's go.
Well, hello, everyone. Oh, come on. We're at Epicenter Helsinki. God, we have a tradition here. You know, you're supposed to scream back at me, and then I scream back at you, and we have a good time. You've already seen my face downstairs in the box, right? Wasn't that cool? You're not going to get enough of me for the rest of the day today. But hey, welcome so much to Epicenter. It's so great to see as many faces as we do here now. We have a full day of program, and I'm just thrilled that we've watched this community grow and grow and grow and grow, and you're all such a huge part of it. But as many of you know, I am Joey Bayer, the community manager here at Epicenter Helsinki, and super excited to see you. World Creativity and Innovation Day is a global UN day that's celebrated on April 21st. However, we're celebrating it here on the 19th because why? Rebels? To raise awareness around the importance of creativity and innovation and problem solving. Each year, the world is invited to embrace the idea that innovation is essential for harnessing the economic potentials of nations. Innovation and creativity and mass entrepreneurship can provide new momentum toward achieving local development goals. Here at Epicenter, we have a jam-packed day for you. So you can see the full run of the schedule on the back of your name badge. That is also your drink ticket. That entitles you to 3 drinks at the bar tonight. 3. No cost spared here. And then that disco ball is a trinket for you to take home with you as well. During today, we have invited several expo partners, as you've seen, throughout floors 1 and 2. So please take the opportunity to give them a quick hello and show them appreciation for being here. After all of the panels today, we're going to get ready to party the night away at our discotheque. Yeah? All right, so we have a tradition here at Epicenter Helsinki. Before every single community event, we take the first 10 seconds to clap for ourselves. It has nothing to do with me. I don't benefit anything from the claps, or it doesn't set the mind at ease of any of our speakers sitting up front. For the first 10 seconds, let's go ahead and do that. Ready? All right, give it to yourselves. You're here. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay. Let's begin. So to kick off today, I want to invite my colleagues to the stage who have been working long and hard on Epicenter's first ever impact report. To talk more, I just realized that the slide wasn't there. To talk more about the collective positive impact that Epicenter and our members have had on the local societies that they work within. Please help me welcome to the stage Ellen, who's the head of community at Epicenter.
Do I have some as well? Good. Thank
Awesome.
you. Isn't he great? Come on. Can't find a better community manager for Helsinki or anywhere else. So great. Yeah, I'm going to use some time with you. But I would like to ask, because we have released a report, and if you want the report, you need to sit up front. So can you guys come on a little bit closer so we have some love for the audience, for the panelists? Can I ask you for this, or is it too non-Nordic of me? Come on, guys. Come up front so we can have some love for the speakers on stage. Great. So, yeah, welcome to the Impact Summit, where we're going to release the report, which you can see here. You have a new seat, and you can actually fold it out, frame it if you want to. So here it is. So I'm going to give a little bit of a back brief on it. And then I'm going to invite one of the co-founders and CEO of Epicenter. And when I talk about we, so I'm not representing myself or Epicenter as a company. I talk about we as a collective of around 500 companies, 6,000 individuals seated here in Helsinki, in Stockholm, and in Oslo. Can we agree on that? So you're with me. When I say we, I speak about this collective. Great. Let's see. So let's see what I have here. Okay, great. So a little bit of the back brief. So when 2014, Patrick, one of our co-founders, and Ola Alvarsson, another one, met with the Swedish property owner IMF and talked about how they could change collectively, the environment for companies in Stockholm. And also the area they spoke about was not really so inspiring, so impactful, or, a place to accelerate growth. And they joined and agreed on a mission together to help the Swedish entrepreneurial ecosystem to accelerate internationally whilst building deep roots locally. And to extend to this was to create more job, more tax income, but also more opportunities for the next generation. And this was how Epicenter then opened 2015. So let's look at the joint vision. We have key innovative hotspots to supercharge their local entrepreneurial ecosystems. The mission, we run innovation houses for local changemakers to accelerate their growth and innovate with impact. So, as you know, since we're not in Stockholm, and this is not a building of IMF, we've grown since then. So we opened Helsinki, we opened Oslo, but we also have projects in Cape Town, in Cairo, and in other places where we help the local to build a house of innovation. But the branded houses, the Epicenter houses, are in the Nordics, and that's what we're going to speak about today. So let me try to give a little bit of a back brief of the report. So if you've seen it already, we're releasing 4 reports. So one is international, that's the one you have in your hands. So the collective data of all the houses and all the member companies. But we also have a local one if you want to read up more on Helsinki or more on Oslo or more on Stockholm. And you can find those online. And why we wanted to do is to map, so this is actually the impact footprint of the community of the Nordics. We teamed up with RISE, so it's Research Institute of Sweden, but also Stockholm School of Economics, to both find the metrics, how to do this. We compared to other reports. How do we measure this in a way? To find measure point. And we did a quantitative study where we collected financial data, their official data, but also a quality study where we deep dive with interviews with some of the member companies, since this is data then. And that's also where we're gonna, after I've invited Patrick on stage, to have a few of those member companies that are part of the community, that are part of the report, to talk about impact from their point of view. Great? Are you with me? Yes. Respectfully quiet. So the Epicenter impact model, which was how the report, the metrics landed in, is built on 2 parts. So it's the financial impact, so growth in revenue, growth in full-time employees, and growth in tax contribution to local markets. That's the data we collected and how we measured it. But also impact in collaborative opportunities. Since Epicenter are houses where we want to build a place to accelerate growth. We do a lot of events, we have a lot of open areas where you can meet, network, and we want to build an environment to help companies, right? So we also have measured a lot of fun data around that. But that's internal data, what's happening in the buildings, and also as how the teams at the Epicenter houses can perform better to support all the companies involved in the community. But this is official data. Right? Are you with me? So are we ready to understand the report and hear a little bit from the co-founder and CEO? Welcome on stage. Give him a huge hand, Patrick Mesterton. Hey, Patrick.
Thank you, Ellen. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Yeah, maybe.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's sit.
Let's sit a little bit closer to each other. It's a little bit more personal. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hi.
So I gave a back brief on the story when you met, 2014. You opened 2015, but why did you want to release this report, the impact report of the collected data?
Yeah, so first of all, we started Epicenter, as you said, back in 2014, and we did that because we wanted to create a home for entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, change makers that wants to create a positive society and opportunities that future generations can live off. Something that's very sustainable, highly innovative, and that's based on learning and collaboration. And by doing that, we also wanted, of course, to measure how do we actually perform against those targets? If we collectively believe in this sort of community that we're creating of like-minded people wanting to do better, how well are we then doing? Because most people otherwise ask about how is Epicenter performing, and then you would only answer in your economical terms. But we think it's a lot more relevant also to look at the impact and the footprint that the community actually brings to the market.
Yeah, and I can say, of course, I'm going to sound very pro, and yes, I worked for Epicenter for a few years, but I've also been a member. So when I remember when I met you guys in the beginning and when I entered the building, I really loved that you talked about impact also in a financial way, because money makes, job opportunities, tax, everything that the country needs to grow. But if you want to tell us a little bit why measure this way, innovation, impact overall.
Yeah, I think impact in general today in society has become such a buzzword. So everyone uses the terms, but it's very hard to understand what's then the definition and what does people put behind that. So we wanted to make something clear for us so that we measure it in a way that we think actually has real impact on society. And for us, that was to measure then not only revenue or how much VC money that's being raised, but actually how many job opportunities do we create collectively through a year? How much tax revenues do we pay so that we actually get money in so that we can invest into the societies where we are? And how much collaborative measures have we found in terms of learning opportunities, in terms of partnerships created between members? So those have been the stuff for us around impact. There's a lot of conversations around impact hubs, and there might be then two people sitting wanting to change the world, but what have they actually accomplished then in terms of driving societal change?
Yeah.
That for us was one of the drivers behind this report.
Yeah. We're going to go in and look to some of them, but how many know how Epicenter was founded, like what companies started Epicenter, if you understand? So we can actually, it was because it's three cornerstones. We had AMF, the partner, but you guys, it's a bunch of entrepreneurs were part of Epicenter from the start. So it was a big, event since the 19th time that worked a lot with like networking, people met, and that's the community. That's what we do in those houses. And then Result, which helped companies scale.
Yes, scale and grow. So we thought that instead of only building another co-working space, how can we actually do something that promotes these companies so that they can make that impact? And for us, that is creating growth. So really supercharged growth for companies that are there, because we know if they go from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 people, that automatically means new opportunities, tax revenues, and positive things. And the other thing was, of course, innovation. What is then actually being created out of the soil of this place in terms of new partnerships, new ideas, etc., that then the city and the members can benefit from. And we thought to make something around that was sort of our unique sauce that we wanted to bring to the market. And we've been quite fortunate that we've been able to do this, operate this locally in 3 markets, but it's not only about what we do local as own epicenters, we're also now helping other cities and other countries and other organizations to supercharge their innovation. So we've also built a fintech hub in Cairo together with the central bank. We've built an innovation house in Cape Town, trying to help Africa supercharge innovation, etc. And the funny thing is everyone that's a member here, they're automatically also a member of those communities. So we're also going to come out and talk to you more about how you can access those markets and those companies that are sitting there.
Yeah, and to mention that, because Cape Town is quite like, it's a story where a Swedish entrepreneur lived in Cape Town for almost 20 years, came back to Stockholm during COVID and worked from Epicenter and was like, this place is needed in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Because a lot of companies start in Cape Town, but as soon as they step out of being a startup, they move. So what happens? No jobs, no tax. It's not building the society. So that's how, I was there working 2 weeks last year. But I mean, it's brilliant what they started to build now by having Innovation City there, powered by Epicenter. So and it's more projects to come, hopefully.
Yes, we have a lot more in the pipeline. We have a lot of cities that are interested. So hopefully we can expand during 2023 also to a couple of more cities.
Yeah. But before we go into the data, were you actually a little bit nervous to release this? Because you don't know the data or,
No, I think we want to be very humble, of course, because it's the first year and we have over 550 companies here. So collecting data on how they've grown, how much revenues they have, how much taxes they're paying has not been that easy. So I also want to really reach out and thank our partners for supporting us in this. But what's also really good, we want to make this into a structured every year thing. And what we need your help with is, of course, getting even more data in. So any more things that we can add to this report that brings clarity and value to what this community creates, we want to have that as part of the report.
Yeah.
So see that as an extended invitation to sort of help us with this, because I think we need we can sharpen this in sort of several more iterations before we have the final one that we want.
Yeah, great. We love to work together in partnership. But let's look at some of the graphs and the data. So
Sure.
the results that was found. So here are industry represented at Epicenter. A comment on that.
Yeah, so for us, it's extremely important to have, as we talked about before, a very diverse and inclusive group. And we think that innovation thrives in very heterogeneous and diverse environments. So we're super happy and excited to have a lot of different industries here represented, because we think that sort of in the crossroads and in the intersection and the collision between industries and people, fantastic things can happen. So we have a little bit of overrepresentation in a few fields, and we have a little bit of underrepresentation in women, etc. But this is also a great way for us to sort of have this as a nail on the wall, so that we can work actively with it.
Yeah.
And this is very important to us.
Yeah. So here you can read up more in the report, but I have an example. So because it compared the Epicenter community to each local region, and the result is that the Epicenter community, we, us, the companies, are tracking better in financial growth compared to the local region, so in the general. In revenue, full-time employees, and tax contribution. So one example is the tax contribution for Epicenter corporates in retail and wholesale industry grew by 40.57 percentage point more than the average in Stockholm, or like in the local market.
Yeah. No, and we're super happy that we can have a mix of different sizes and different industries. And then by having people that are in an environment like this, that can help supercharge their growth, and that it actually shows that that growth is quicker than the general average. So I think the context in which you're in, sort of the learning elements that you have rather than innovating or sitting in silos somewhere else, really proves the point that building environments and ecosystems where startups, scale-ups and corporates can come together to learn from each other, to collaborate and talk. That's exactly like the reason why we put this together, and it's fantastic to see that data is coming through as well in the report.
Yeah. And let's go into collaborative data, because this was the one I spoke about. So a comment on this: it's over 20,000 guests on events, it's over 200,000 coffee cups.
Yeah, but I think like innovation, as you know, starts with an attitude, but it also starts a little bit with sort of know-how and knowledge. And we think that having open events and closed events for the community here is, of course, a way to sort of supercharge that innovation and to get the dialogues going. And having over 22,000 people visiting our premises during last year to attend these events is amazing. They're obviously drinking a lot of coffee, so we have a lot of toilet paper that we're wasting. That's maybe the only thing we need to look at. But what's really interesting is that it's over 60 different nationalities represented. That also means that we are a very diverse and inclusive bunch of people here. It's not only about Sweden, Finland, or Norway. That's 3 out of the 60 we have. And I think that is absolutely amazing, because I think that fabric of being like, intertwining different nationalities, industries, people, and genders is really what sort of provides a really good footprint for the future.
Yeah, I think that was my feeling when I entered now you're used to it, but when you enter the Epicenter atmosphere and first time, and I think a lot of you that are here can experience that as well. Great. So what we accomplished together, like these are the big numbers.
Yeah, so we've sort of put them together, compounded across the region, and I think it's quite impressive to look that almost 850 million euros of revenues has been generated that are then, of course, being put back and offset into the system. And we have then collectively almost hired close to 5,000 people last year as a part of it. Think of that, 5,000 people, families, get their job opportunities through the Epicenter sort of network. And we've paid close to 72 million euros in taxes as well, which also strictly goes back to funding roads and sort of public things and pensions and other stuff. So it's like a big testament and sort of thank you to the whole community for putting up these numbers.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with us.
No,
this has all to do with the community.
But it's easy to work with Epicenter because you don't just need to speak about the members.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant that and we have deep dive interviews. You can read more about the members as well. But of course, when you do this, we also want to hear. Now it's, you said we started with it. It's the first time. It's the first report. Of course, we want feedback. But what are your like insights already from releasing this first report and reading it?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit upon it. I think that looking at sort of where we need to go and take this going further, one is that sort of call out to you guys, we need more data and we need your support in looking at what we can add to this report. So we're very humble and sort of trying to understand what we can pick up on that really makes a difference. So that's one thing that we want to have in. Second thing we touched upon is that we believe in the diversity of our community. So we need to work to get more women in. And when we have looked at this, I especially now have Swedish data in my head, but there's less than 10% of women in tech in general in Sweden. And looking at founders, it's very, very low. But at least looking into the management teams of the companies we have more than 40% women representation. So we've been very active at this from start at Epicenter. So that's also another thing that we will try to continue doing. The third thing is we would love to have 70 or 75 nationalities next year. So we'll try to be even more open and broad for that. And the final one that I believe to be very important is really the connection between politics and ruling and entrepreneurship. Because if entrepreneurs are the architects of the future and they're paving the way a lot, we also need to make sure that legislation and the politics are following that. And we believe that today there's a little bit of silos in between the two. And I think that we can play a very important role in sort of bridging that gap by having more events and things like that where we also put our politicians a little bit to the test. So that's another thing we're going to do for the coming year.
Yeah, and Epicenter wants to be that platform. So, I mean, we encourage you as well. If you have ideas for event, if you know a female network, if you're going to attract more women, let's host it here. Or I know that Joey and the team with the community also have a lot of events on this. But this is what we can do from our part, but also to encourage that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming, and look forward to the day and the party later on.
Yeah. Give him a hand.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. So, as we said, the report is more than Epicenter and more than us. So, of course, we want to hear some of the voices from the community. So, are you ready for a panel session? Yes. You're awake? Good. So, we have 4 panelists. We have Alexandra Pasternak-Jackson from AmCham, CEO of AmCham Helsinki. Welcome on stage. Katri Pakula, Sustainability Designer, XOV Design. Napoleon Bergström, Globy, CCO of Globy. And Sverker Skogberg, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs at Puff. Welcome on stage. Give them a hand. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you guys here. I want to have some comments on the report, and but of course I want some help from you guys to introduce yourselves further as well, because we have like service design company, Katri, you represent. Napoleon was on stage yesterday as well when we released the report, collecting drone data and working a lot with different countries and are growing out of Sweden as well. And Sverker from Puff for a gaming company. But I want to start with you, Alexandra, because I know AmCham, you also released a report only last week. And I know since you guys are working with helping companies, scale, so you have what's your take on impact and the Nordics?
Well, you've tackled 4 questions right away. I like starting that, with tremendous energy. I really appreciate that Epicenter went and did an impact report like this, because one of the reasons we wanted to come to Epicenter was the emphasis on ecosystem, because no one can do things alone, and we are more than the sum of our parts. And for us as a community, so AmCham Finland, we're the voice of international business and the home of transatlantic success. We're a chamber of commerce. We have ourselves 200 member companies, and we help big international companies do more R&D and create more jobs in Finland, and we help Finnish companies enter and succeed in the US market. And that's what we do. And last last week we worked with Joey, shout out, to launch one of our flagship events, which is Transatlantic Opportunity, the Finland-US Economic Deep Dive. And so in this house, and we wanted to do it with Epicenter, because when you have good news, you want to share it. When you have amazing CEOs on stage, you want them to inspire other people to do the same kind of scaling and growth. And thanks to, so we had, I think 100 people in the house, and we launched the report, and the breaking news from that report was that the US is now Finland's largest trading partner. And that comes so much from Finnish companies exporting both goods. Goods increased 67% last year, and if anyone really wants to nerd out over the economy with me, I can do a pull aside talking about why. But digital economy growth, digital service growth coming from Finland and selling to the US has grown so incredibly tremendously. And I know that a lot of the companies in this building had a lot to do with that as well. So that's why I was so excited to launch the report and hold the event on stage here at the Epicenter.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So give me a hand.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so excited. We're going to come back to you as well. Let's talk to some of the member companies here. So, Katri,
Yes.
we had a brief talk. We met first digitally and now here. I'm so happy to be here now as well. But we talked a lot about social responsibility, impact on society, because you're a service design company and designing a sustainable and humane future. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about XOV design?
Yes, glad to do so. Thank you for this opportunity. So we're a small, really future-thinking organization of 12 years in the background of service design and a digital products creation background. And where it started off was actually from creating understanding of the users and what are their actual needs. So basically empathy was one of the starting points and something that still carries now us further. So we are trying to be partners of creating empathy and understanding and impact for our clients if they are creating a digital product or something else, or service or communication and so on.
Yeah, I'm so happy to connect. I mean, we talked about this as well, that you not only measure impact from, you have so much contact with your clients and companies that you work with.
Yes.
So that's really how you look back on it.
That's right. That's where our impact really comes from, is from as there's not that many of us, 13 of us in Finland in here, and at Epicenter already for 1 month, and looking forward for the networking and what Patrick mentioned about having the learning opportunities and collaboration opportunities is something that really is also in our DNA and something that got into my mind.
Perfect. We're so glad to have you here. Give her a hand. So before I go to you, Napoleon, because I know you're based here, let's welcome Sverker, because this is also the first time we share the stage.
Thank you.
We had a quick brief as well. It's a gaming company, Puff.
Yes.
I know you also talked about a lot about responsibility and impact connected to society. Could you give us a brief of how you do that as a gaming company?
Yes, I have three issues I want to raise about that. But first, I have to say we have been here 2 months, and we moved from the other side of the street. And coming into this building the first time, you were of course wondering a bit, what is this? Former Planet Hollywood. I think that's the last time I was here. Then I see Alexandra is here. We have met before. I used to work in the aviation business, so that was. Then you start to feel more and more home, and now we are starting to feel really home here. So I just wanted to start with that. But PAF, the abbreviation comes from Ålands Penningmattsförening. We are based on the Åland Islands, where we have the head office. But we are founded 1966, and all the money is going back to the society, which I think it's also a very important thing. But to mention 3 things where we hopefully can affect the impact and do it even better is that the thing we talked about briefly in the beginning was the what we call responsible gaming, and we have been very tough. We want to be a game changer there. I mean, that's a word we are using a lot here, and that people will not get ill of the gaming. It should be done in a responsible way. You shouldn't use your money more than maybe 8,000 euros a year, like an expensive hobby. You will not lose your house. So that's one thing. But we are 60, Puff is 57 years old soon, but still we have suddenly developed to a very tech company also. We have this thing called Grit Lab on the Åland Islands in our head office, which is a bit of a same thing as Hive here in Helsinki or the Code UV in Estonia. So we will also have a Åland Tech meetup there on the 30th of May. So and if somebody want to visit it, welcome.
Perfect.
So we have developed to being very tech nowadays, and we are proud of that. And the third aspect, I don't know if you have been thinking about that, but every time you travel with the ferries on the Baltic Sea, we have a strong Nordic connection there because we have the slot machines where you can play the games, of course, and the connectivity between the Nordic countries here is important. So those three aspects came to my mind when I read this report this morning, and I got a few aha experiences, which was very nice. So thank you for being here, or letting me here, being here.
Part of it. Yeah, but we're so happy. And I'm also glad it was very clear because you and me spoke about this as well, since we spoke about financial data that we need to, I mean, in Sweden we have Jantelag, and I guess it's a little bit maybe the same in the Nordics, but that, I mean, money also creates job and, give back to society. So it's a little bit different in America. But,
and one more point, I mean, my area of responsibility is the public affairs. I'm the political guy. I'm sitting here with the tie now. I had a meeting with the Minister of Interior in the morning, and there's a lot of lobbying going on. But I'm also enjoying to be here a lot, and we have 12 seats on the loft floor, so we are starting to get really warm in our clothes, and I'm excited to be in this building.
We're excited to have you. Give him a hand. Perfect. And Napoleon, you guys you're growing because you moved into a studio now in Stockholm, and I met your colleague here, so maybe you have a studio here in the future, but you're a drone data marketplace. And I know you're connected to many drones. And yesterday was the first time we really talked and shared. But could you share with your audience about Globee and what you guys do?
Yes, of course. And it's an honor to be here in Helsinki. And we just, or in September last year, we recruited our first Finnish salesperson who is here today together with me. But I know you here in Finland, you have many jokes about Sweden. At least he has. So I don't know if that's... but we don't have any jokes about Finnish people. So I will start creating some. But I will find some things out. No. So Globee Drones, a Stockholm-based company. We are working, as you were mentioned, with drone data. So Globee is short for global health. And we focus a lot on the impact that we are making around the world, and it's the vision and mission that our CEO created when she founded the company. And how we do that is through our crowd droning platform, which is a marketplace where we connect our customers to our local drone operators around the world, all with the purpose to make better decisions at the right time for a thriving planet. So that is our motto. And how we do that is our clients can sign up as their own accounts into our platform, request drone data from anywhere in the world, and we match it to our local experienced drone pilots who then collect the data, uploads into the platform, and we send the final product straight in the platform to the end client. And how are we measuring our impact when we are working with drone data? Well, our customer and our portfolio are based on a lot of UN departments, World Bank, UN CCD, FAO, VFP, a lot of big organizations, basically. So we have strict requirements to also follow the sustainable development goals that they are having. So one example is if you haven't read it on our social media, we have done a bad marketing, but I will tell you now. And that is where we, together with UNICEF in Malawi, have created flood modeling data. So we collect from 4 cities in Malawi, which is heavily impacted by flooding during the rainy seasons, we then create both a digital surface model and a digital terrain model. By delivering that data, analytical persons can then measure and streamline where the floodings will damage the most. So we done that this year, and by doing that, we can actually impact 8 million people's lives in these cities. And by 2023, our goal is to impact 93 million lives.
That's incredible.
That's super.
Give him a hand.
Yeah.
And I know you are also connected to around 130 countries now, and you're growing, so that's incredible. But okay, so now we know who's on stage and basically a little bit about what they do. So I want to move the conversation because we have around 15 minutes to talk about how to make the Nordics the impact hub of the world. What do you think is needed? I'm just gonna throw it up here. In the Nordic to be stronger. I mean, if you want to take a local, talk about Finland or use Stockholm, that's fine. But how can we, create an environment here to make a better, be an impact city, to keep companies here, create more jobs? I'm like, what's needed? Yeah, Alexandra.
I have 3 things.
Yes.
We need to make it easier to do R&D. We need to make it easier for companies to find talent. We have a critical talent shortage all across the Nordics. We did a Finland as a business location barometer research study that we did with Business Finland that showed that 78% of all companies are experiencing a critical talent shortage. 3 years ago, that number was at 32%, and it was primarily focused on IT and coders. But right now, it's across the board. So we need to make it easier to bring talent into our countries. We need to make it easier to foster the local talent pipeline and for people to make mid-career switches. And that's something I think communities like Epicenter can enable. And because that's what communities do, is they enable those kinds of changes. So and then I kind of went off on a tangent there, but and then make R&D easier, foreign talent, and then public-private partnerships. We need to be collaborating more with the public sector so that there is more communication about what is needed, as well as more collaborations between universities and the private sector. And I think large established companies are especially good at navigating this, and we really need to get them more involved in helping scale-ups do the same at an earlier stage of development.
So how do we do? I do want to add to it.
Go.
Check it. Yeah.
Go for it.
One thing I want to add, excellent examples, but to move between different schools. For instance, if I take this coding school, you have one in Estonia, one in Helsinki, and one on the Åland Islands, for instance. You should be able to move even more freely between those without any competition. And talking about Estonia, we have an office also in Tallinn, a PAF office. So why don't even include Estonia even more in this community? That was just an idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that goes into as well, like bridging between more. Katri,
Yeah, and I loved your your comment on like the learning and how the learning should be for everyone, and I agree on that. And the kind of futures thinking is something that would be something that in Nordics there already is, but should be even more broadly available to all. So including people in innovation and like thinking, for example, engaging people in creating the futures that they might want to work for or create further is something that is can be done in multiple ways. Should it be digital platforms or workshops or whatnot? So building the knowledge in companies and also between companies and their users to or other stakeholders, like collaboration indeed is something that is way forward.
I think talking more about how exactly that innovation and collaboration is a societal imperative. We all have a moral responsibility to actually be collaborating on something. And I think the Nordics really show leadership in this globally. And when you look at, in the transatlantic economy, at least 11 out of the 20 of the top 20 R&D spenders are AmCham members. And when I think about them, they invest in the Nordics. Bayer is a great example. They're a giant German multinational company. They've invested hugely in Finland. And one of my favorite inventions is, sorry guys, but the Morena IUD. I mean, that was researched and invented in Finland. And then through, the Bayer Global Network, manufactured in the US and sold globally. And if you think about that impact that those Finnish researchers that enabled millions of women and families to have reproductive choices and rights and then contribute to the economy in a completely different way, I mean, that's amazing. And that came out of the Nordics, that came out of Finland. And so we are an area of the world that attracts cutting edge investment. And investment is really the kind of engine of growth of any economy. And you can see that when, I'm sure the investments that you have made, the information that you are providing saves those lives as well.
Yeah, and need to grow as well.
Yes,
you talked about this yesterday. In panel as well.
Exactly. It needs to grow, and I think it starts somewhere. I mean, Epicenter, what you are doing is fantastic, and it's one step on the way. And together with more accelerator programs and more close for startups, at least, to get in touch with investors, because if you don't have that network, you need that network. Because what we are here is innovators and entrepreneurs, but we are basically nothing without investment and money in order to scale and be able to do more. And there's a gap there in the society that I think we can work closer on the whole ecosystem to bring everyone closer. And even if you pass the startup stage into the scale-up stage, that's when you actually have a product and wants to scale your product, and that's when you need more money. So it comes a step on the way that needs to be tightened up a lot more in the society, and based on learning as well, as we were talking about education and so forth. And it comes to also already from that point, how is the world developing and improving, and how we bring that to the school already to teach about the global challenges and how we can create more companies and products and invest in them to create more companies and also more job and more tax contributions and so forth. So it's a full cycle that needs.
I just wanted to raise the point that Patrick mentioned about to get even better contact with the politicians and so on, and I'm a bit biased maybe because I've been working with politics so long time, and also for Finnair more than 20 years with lobbying and so on. But I think this is a key issue. There's still a big gap there. There are not enough guys like me in here yet, I think. So that's a really good point I like to hear. So I think that still has to be developed. So I'm looking forward to see the results.
Yeah, and we need you guys with us to do this locally as well. To how can we get politicians involved in the event and invite them in the discussion and work
I'm
with them.
not a politician, but
but I mean, but on touch on this, because I mean, if you're going to grow, and we spoke about money as well, but one key highlight from yesterday's panel was also talent. And in yesterday's panel, we had Adrian McDonough, who's CEO of Adway, so they work with recruitment, but all the other companies was and you talked about this as well, and talent in Stockholm. Don't quote me on it, but I talked to a guy who worked with this, and he said, well, we attract people, but then they don't stay because they don't feel home in Stockholm, so they leave. So this is a big issue. Even if we grow, if we're going to grow the company, we need the talent, right? So comments on that. I mean, you guys are high. I mean, Napoleon.
No,
growing now. I need
no, but I think it's a mix as well. I mean, we can recruit talent, but we can't keep them because of culture or other ways. But there's also the other parts of it where perhaps we can't offer what we need to offer. I mean, if we as a small company want to recruit someone from Hexagon or Ericsson or Klarna or whatever, it's not possible because they expect too high salary to even compare to joining a startup. And then it should be easier to give other benefits to be part of owning the company, to own shares or any other things to keep them. But that's not an easy process either. So it's not easy to keep talents that way either. So I think that's where another gap is that we need to close in order to both keep the talents that the few talents that we maybe are getting, to keep them and.
Yeah, and maybe to add on the keeping the talents by providing them area for growth is something that could be worth mentioning. And what we discussed on a few days back was also like in our industry, in IT, there's a lot of growing importance in focus in the Nordics on green ICT, and this is also something that is new for the people on the in the industry, and it's something that the talents are always wanting to bring to learn more and grow their expertise on, and that's something quite new that I'm also really happy to discuss if somebody later on wants to know on the impact of the carbon impact of digital products.
Yeah, we spoke about that.
I could have a lecture of it, but not today.
I know I need to respect Joey's schedule and your schedule as well. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna have a last comment from all of you guys, and then I know it's a break, so we're can talk and network. But a last comment of what you would like to see, because I don't put this on company, of like as a society, as company politician, what would you like to see? What would be the next steps on how to make the Nordics an impact hub? How can we do it together collectively here, maybe? Yeah, Katri, do you want to start? And
I'm going to go shortly.
Yeah.
I would like to see like innovation on all levels of companies, like business innovation, so that sustainability could be brought into all levels. Would it be like not only communications but products and services, and getting new users or audiences, and affecting also their own industries?
Short thing, you should have an AI chatbot forbidden zone in every building, because that will kill a bit of the creativity. Yeah, that was not a 100% serious answer, but no, I think if I take the PAF example, we are very proud of this coding school in the Åland Islands, and we are giving people a lot of liberty if they want to work remote, or if they want to come to that coding school, or if they want to come to Epicenter and sit here. So the Åland Islands can be quite peaceful, and it could be quite hectic also. But you have to give all the alternatives. People sometimes want to be in peace also. Yeah.
Napoleon. A last comment.
Yes, last comment. No, just an overall long-term. I mean, to be the leading Nordics, if we want to lead, we need to have a long-term commitment to sustainability, innovation, digitalization, and collaboration moving forward. And I think Epicenter is creating a lot of this. And to even hear now that you're scaling into other countries, and especially Africa, which has so much talent there, it's fantastic. So continue doing that, and long term.
If you stay with us, we'll grow.
Yes.
No, whatever. I'm going to leave it. You're going to have the last comment
right.
now.
I was going to say that, I mean, there's so many seeds we need to plant to address some of the things we've talked, but something that everyone can start doing right now is more storytelling. Because I think we are very focused on, what we're doing. We're very focused on what's happening in our countries. But if we really want to put Nordics on the map globally, we need to be empowered and equipped with each other's stories. I need to be able to pitch all of your stories so that when there's an opportune moment, I can say, hey, but I've got Sverker down the street that, we're on a couple of floors up, and he can help you with that issue. And I think we need to be better at that. And so to answer Patrick's question also is, work on empowering all of us with more stories of this, narrative stories of these positive impacts, these good things that we're all doing, so that we can be inspired when we read them, but we can also share them, because all of our networks have this opportunity to impact each other as we get to know each other better.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have all of you in the community. And I think the last word of you said why we wanted to do this. This was a good final. So this is a start. Give them a huge hand. Alexandra, Katri, Napoleon, and Sverker. Thank you.
Thank you.
The conversation continues. Connect with me, connect with Patrick, and even you have Amanda's head of marketing. She's based in Stockholm, but you have her email address. If you want to know more, talk to us. And of course, talk to Joey and Christian, who's leading the team here at Epicenter Helsinki. Thank you.